Hey guys. Well, I started out today with a video from that Jordan fellow from yesterday. He seems to be having more experiences. I saw a video from him the day before where he had stopped wearing the ankh. He had an experience that told him to let that go. That he was going to go back to the cross. I think he'd do better off with it because I don't think he really is an Egyptian, to tell you the truth. And I think he's got one of those spirits that, craves peace and enlightenment. He was describing I guess he'd drawn a metaphor where he had been cleaning out the gutters. And it was really a nice, very little piece, good little piece, because he was talking about how things, whenever they get stuck up there and things, start to get yucky and then things will start to grow there in the gutters if you haven't cleaned them out for a long time. And he was, drawing the comparison between, I guess, emotional issues, mental issues, psychological stuff, and he demonstrated again about, he was talking about going back to places and getting things cleaned out. In other words, doing your healing work, right? Now, I don't know where in hell these people were able to convince everybody that what you're here to do is to heal yourself, physician. Well, when did you become a doctor? That's what they will say to them. That's what they say to Christ. Heal thyself, physician. Because there's not too many physicians who can heal themselves. Psychologists have their own psychologist. That's sort of a standard in the industry. Isn't that funny? And the reason why, of course, is because of self-delusion, which can come through for many reasons, as a protective mechanism, as a matter of fact. And so it's always good to have another witch doctor out, in your community to verify whether or not you're seeing things correctly. And that's what psychology comes down to, really. It's just a bunch of people talking about things in a different way, denying the fact that demons are real. That's all. these monsters have been going on for the longest that I was trying to reason with and have actual communication with, and which it's hard. It's difficult to go. It's just another damn demon, especially when they're pretty. Not so much anymore, but my healing was not anything in my journey here in the last 20 years. It really hadn't, other than, the first few years, right? Well, even then, because see, here's what my healing was. My healing was information. My healing was the acceptance of the fact that all those people in my life weren't really real. Again, the Matrix can't tell you who you are. My healing was in letting go of all that fantasy. But more than anything, my healing is in letting go of these dark people who, for whatever reason, decided that they were going to attach themselves to me and we were going to be partnered through all of eternity or something like that. A marriage between light and darkness. Well, everybody found out that doesn't really work at all. Because, whenever they eat almost half the city, right? That means there was a problem. And that's why we're moving on from them. We still continue to rebuke and reject and refuse all that is Satan, all that is demonic. I repudiate them all in the name of Christ Jesus, the Prince of Peace, the light, the truth, our Father who art in heaven, amen. And, of course, the same we do regarding all that is witches and magic, because that's all satanic and demonic. That's all the kingdom of darkness, and heaven does keep me free of the kingdom of darkness without them, because they make me what? Day. No, they don't make me what? They make me day without the other. The sky took me. Now, whenever heaven takes you, I found that that too is also a process, in as much as it takes a couple moments. And I was thinking about the passage of time, and and the different places we can be where time goes very slowly by while we think it is going by regularly, or we can be in a place where we're in real time. I'm not sure how it all works, but I'm glad we're going up. I'm glad we're continuing to go up. Um, and I'm glad that we're getting paid back for all of our troubles and all of our losses. We've been assured again and again the enemies will be paying for that. But we are going to be able to go ahead and recoup losses and rebuild and get other stuff before they're probably we probably will be able to replace everything before they are paying us back. I don't know how that's going to work, but I do know they're supposed to pay us back manyfold. So, in essence, at the end of it all, we will have profited greatly from this little journey over the last 20 years. At least so that's what I've been promised and told by many sources, including the book. And of course, we're supposed to. We're supposed to profit from it. And no, they're not supposed to be able to keep what they stole from me. They don't deserve that. And they'll have to give that back. I have to make arrangements for something else to take its place. That's just the way that goes. That was all taken by, nefarious means. So eventually, we're going to have that all back. That's why we've been saying all along, we weren't going to be able to stay, and we were trying to give plenty of warning so that people could make arrangements. But well, that was something else altogether. Anyway, he's looking like it's going to be a great day. I really, really was thinking, darn, this is awfully great weather. I mean, yeah, I didn't mind the rain. It was so much, but it had cooled off. It was only like 75 degrees yesterday. That was very encouraging to get out, And I'm thinking, I hope that I have more weekends that are pleasant like that to get out and about. It's not so much that, you see, that's the thing. That's what, going back to what that Jordan fellow was talking about. He was talking about how basically what it is you go through stuff, you get layers and layers of the junk on you of trauma and harm and all this stuff. And if it doesn't, if it's not dealt with correctly, then it can add up and you end up with a bunch of junk there and things growing from it that you don't need and not intended or are incorrect. There are such things as faulty coping mechanisms people can form. However, until everything is much different from the way it has been for a long, long time now, what I've learned is what I've learned. And what people are, as has been presented to me, is something different than what I thought it was, and now I see them differently. And so all of life, whatever that was that we were pretending at, is different now. It's as we're getting back to being who we're supposed to be and up and above and beyond the reach of the enemy, sure, then we'll be able to do a lot more, and I can see that we can have a very good effect and be a good vibration for wherever we're at. But still, we're not going to be staying in this world. We're not going to be staying with anybody of magic. This whole thing of, you're here to sacrifice yourself to save all these is, no, it's not at all. I'm supposed to have been growing. I was supposed to have grown and profited. I wasn't supposed to be torn down. So as far as saving people and doing this and that, I don't care. We got to grow and we got to fix our stuff. remember, the city has to be repaired. The spaceship has to be what it's supposed to be. you know, um, I tell you jokingly about my plans and what I believe I'm doing and where I'm going. But the simple fact of the matter is I don't know. It may be I may reach a certain point and go poof, and just spiral on up out into the sky and be gone and never do any of that stuff because they will have decided, no, it's time for you to come out. See what I'm saying? Because we've been reaching hard upwards and they've been reaching down for me and they're lifting me higher every day. So I'm not exactly sure. It'll probably be, we'll do our thing, and it'll be whatever it is, and it'll be nice, and it'll have the good effect upon the people out there that are ready to hear that, ready to feel that vibration. And I know there's a bunch of people out there that have just a little bit of love in them still, just a little bit of that light. And it doesn't take much to, well, from what I can gather, it doesn't take much for love to make things vibrate high and glow up. And from now on, if I'm feeling that happy, because I've been recently feeling those moments, I'm going to try to start making plans ahead so that I'm more prepared for more regular activities, because we will be developing different stuff here soon, and we're going to be getting up, doing our thing, whatever it is, right? I think today's the first day of 0-calorie fast. I think that's going to go well. I really do believe it's going to go very well. And I'm very grateful for that. And for the fact that we continue to grow and that we are climbing higher and that we're doing better. And that we're moving further out of the reach of those that were wanting to keep us down. Those that, and I think that once they go through their processes and do whatever their healings are supposed to be, then they won't have any issues or problems with me. See, that's the thing. Before I go, the whole point of this is this. I really truly do believe psychology is nothing but just something that's made up, and it is to, again, distract you from the actual truth of it. You're not what you think you are, and you're not so. There's not, Do you really believe in an organic brain that determines your thoughts and how you act? Do you believe that there's all these little layers of understanding in there that is going to actually change what you are and how you do? What causes anxiety? Yes, you'll say, well, it's a form of worry, and it's especially acute whenever it has to do with these kinds of subjects that blah 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 trigger emotions and blah 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 blah. Now you can use the same example with any other thing, okay? But if you can say, take this anxiety from me, and within 1 second, it disappears. Within 3 to 5 seconds, you can feel physically lighter and happier. Within 15 to 30 seconds, you're actually feeling as though a great burden was actually lifted from you, and there's good reason to be thankful. Now, if that was possible, then tell me what anxiety is, or what the anxiety was that you were experiencing regarding whatever it was. If that can just be taken off of you, if it can just be turned off, then what is it? Is that something for you to heal? Is that something for you to heal position? Are you supposed to be healing yourself? Are you supposed to be analyzing yourself, taking yourself apart, dissecting yourself? Do you know that much about all of it? Can you do it to anybody else? Because if you can't do it to somebody else, how in God's name can you do it to yourself? There's only supposed to be only so many physicians that can do such a thing. You see what I'm saying? And I would tell you now they don't do it themselves anyway. Jesus prayed to his Father in heaven for a reason. Not all the eggs are in one basket. You wouldn't, if you were God, and there, I do really truly believe there's a real distinction between the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. These are three separate things, even though they're all connected together, sharing the same energies and thoughts and type of exchanges of energy, that kind of thing. So if Jesus had to pray, okay, then why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you need assistance? Can you see all these things with your eyes? Can you see them in you? If you were to step outside of your body and your soul and to view those in spirit, what would it look like to you? And then understand, it is my theory that the reason why Jesus can take one look at a person and say, I never knew you, is because he can see into them and see what they're comprised of and whether or not he's ever touched them and how much, how often. Okay? So the only reason why I say this is not to take away from what the information that you've been given or the analysis that you made. It is beautiful. I thought it was just absolutely beautiful. But what I'm saying is that the whole point of the Christ thing is that we all need help, and that there is only one way out from this realm, only one, and it is from the Creator, who did create it through and for and by himself, so that he could access this place where all of these people were already condemned to remaining in this system. That's what the condemnation was. Because the law was never going to allow them to heal themselves or make a good enough case for themselves or live properly enough by themselves. That's why you needed the intercessor. That's why you needed to become the property of, you see. And then that's what grace is about. Once you're owned by and you're sanctified, you're in, I'm not going to say even sanctified, but once you're taken by and chosen by, and you rise up to that point where they actually can take you and do, then you're supposed to experience grace, which is sort of like a forgiving of your sins as you go, and you don't have to worry about that until you get with him, at which point then if there's healing work, quote unquote, that you might need to do, things that you need to go through, experience, like at the end of it he said, now how did you feel about that, as he sat on the couch taking notes or something. Oh no, the healing is being made free of the darker forces. Can you be made completely and totally free of them? Well, sure, I do believe so. And that's what grace is about. They're only supposed to be able to do so much, which is, tempt you in certain ways towards this kind of thing or that, physical stuff. And, but they're not supposed to touch you. They're not supposed to take over control. They're not supposed to, take the wheel and start steering it while you're trying to fight them, for, or anything like that. The healing is understanding what you went through can't really mean too much, because people weren't what you believed them to be, and they of course weren't as what you wanted them to be, I'm sure. And there was lots of disappointment. The thing of it is a lot of people's trauma, harm, the stuff that they cling to and use to foster anger and all that kind of stuff, is the disappointments that they suffered because of other people. Mommy was an alcoholic and she never, blah, blah, blah. Or you see what I'm saying? Well, that's not my story, but others, I've heard stories like that. Their mother was an alcoholic, and she did this and that, and it was really mean and bad. And in other words, they didn't have a real happy, fun childhood. And they're like, should I forgive her? Um, you know, and what I can say to a person like that, I say what I'm getting at that point is anger. And anger is the devil. That they want you to be angry, kids. They really, they want you to just be justified in your anger. They want you to feel that it's righteous anger. Well, it's anger, and that's part of anger, and you don't want it. The key to that, of course, if you're trying to heal yourself, is to realize that person wasn't in control. They weren't in their right mind. They had something there with them going, no, you really need another drink. And maybe did other things to make them feel that. And or they all in combinations with this psychological attack. It might have been an emotional attack also, more than likely. That's something that goes along with being an alcoholic a lot of the times. There's issues, mental, emotional, psychological type of things, people with scars. And the thing you have to do is you got to realize that it didn't matter. What they did doesn't determine who you're going to be. Okay, maybe it had an effect on you as to where you are right now and what you are because of the way you think about that. But you have to look at him and realize that no, it was just the GD devil again. It was just the same damn dude. Mr. Angry. Mr. Hurt people and make them feel bad about this, that, and another. It's just the same thing living through that. And as I found out, and I've been told many times, if you are a light, then, yes, and excuse the floor squeaking as I pace about the place. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, realize, think about Matrix, okay? Think about Neo. He's like, I used to eat there. And she said, he can't tell you who you are. Have you never noticed how he never, ever makes any reference to anyone in his life, as though he was an orphan without friends or family, living that life as Mr. Anderson, right? And they make no reference to any of that, as though there would never, and one of the reasons why is because it would probably draw, no, there's a couple reasons why in that they would do that. It's more about indications of whom that character is, which still, it comes across as a Jesus character, but he seems a little obsessed about certain things. He does still, I don't know. And plus then you look at what's supposed to be, quote, Zion, unquote. Doesn't it seem like the hot place where they're very physical, where they're going to go and die their final death? And I don't know, man. It don't seem like they went down instead of going up. And I don't think, I think what you want is as a soul and spirit to go up. I really truly do. But then again, you're going to have to be a fan of the light. And I am addicted. Gosh, I am addicted. I'm addicted to the light. I am. I'm addicted to the God whom is all light and life without any darkness in him. And of course, that's our goal. So I hope this helps some. Remember, if you let go of your emotional attachment to a person, okay? Because basically what we're talking about, a lot of these issues is resentment. And yeah, it's something to find out that, oh my gosh, it was your mother all along that was trying to kill you, that was feeding upon your soul or whatever, okay? Well, what are they? What were they? What are they controlled by? It's certainly not light. Doesn't matter if it was your mommy or your daddy or your sister or your brother. Doesn't matter if you're your wife or your husband, your neighbor next door, or the guy across the street, or the man in the moon. It's all really the same thing. And so that's why, Jesus said, be of good cheer. And that's why you don't, um, you know, work hard on trying to convert your family, for example. If you get the light and you get the joy and you get the love and it's growing in you, the first thing you want to do is say, hey, come on, you guys, you got to do this thing. You got to go with me. Don't go there. Hey, I found this thing. You got to go this way. And they will maybe they'll do that, but maybe not. And in the world that we've been living, it's very different from what was described in the Bible, if you'll notice. And they've designed it to become more and more that, what they wanted, rather than what was proper for humanity. There's interesting discussions ahead. And I'm not exactly sure how this all shapes up, but I suppose it's going to be interesting. Whenever Elon and they were talking about it all the other day, I don't know how old that interview was, but they were talking about Elon thought that there would be more humanoid robots in 20 years than there would be humans. Now that just sounds crazy. Think about that. Now, I don't know by how many more, but if there's 7 or 8 billion people in the world, what in God's name are we going to do with 7 or 8 billion humanoid, human-like? Why are they? What do you think? And it would all be what? For convenience. Oh, it's going to be such a great assistance, and it'll make life so convenient, this convenient and that, and I say, what you need to do is you need to say, Lord God of light and life, Prince of Peace, come here and live in me, for I want to be a part of your kingdom. I want to be a part of the light. I want to be a part of life. And so touch me and let me know, come here, live with me. And just try to start a conversation. And if you're not even, see, that's the thing. I really do believe that it is different for different people, and that there's a specific type being called. And also there's people that might be in too low a position and they need assistance. And there it comes into play that chain of love. I guarantee you what I'm telling you is real. I've looked in the eyes of the enemies and seen their rage at my describing these things, knowing that yes, indeed, it's absolutely real. And they don't want to lose anybody, you see. Would you? Would you want to lose your resources, your people, your energy sources, your cattle? Would you want anyone to take that from you? Whenever the more the merrier for you? Well, that's just Satan's attitude. He's like, well, I want to keep what I got. And he's willing to lie to you and distract you and lead you this way and lead you that way. And if none of that'll work, then maybe he'll bring your honey trap handler to stand beside you, and you go, oh, it's so cute, it's so pretty, and all that. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed our little discussion today, and I'd say to Jordan, thank you for the inspiration. But it was, again, it's a theme that I've seen again and again and again about how you're supposedly supposed to be healing yourself. You don't know much about the universe. You don't know anything, or some God is supposed to be taking you through some steps to heal. Well, what if they're not? What if they're just taking you from one place to another that just leads you to more puzzlement or more trauma? Because what I saw in my healing journey was, well, we've got lots of trauma to give you, Tom. What we're going to heal you from is all that you loved and all you cared about and all that you thought was good. And we'll try to heal you from God too, and a whole bunch of different things. But I guess, it was the most hateful of healing type of things. I don't think they're doctors, to tell you the truth. I, not at all. Um, but, and in that, see, was more wounding and trauma, where I could be saying, oh, I hate this and hate that, but I can't because I don't have hate. So I don't have a spirit of vengeance. Praise the good Lord. Now, I didn't heal myself of hate. You must understand that. In as much as I didn't reach in and take it out, it was my decision to abandon that, to let it go, yes. But I had to make a request to the good Lord above to remove it from me. And being the good Lord that gives and takes away, they took it away. So it wouldn't be any more a thing here. There is no anger here. It's amazing. And there's been times where I thought maybe it would have been better to have some anger. But I know it wasn't. And I would advise everybody to pray against their anger, that anger be removed from them, because you can't go wrong without it. I mean, you just can't. If you get rid of anger, then there's going to be a lot of all their cousins are going to go with it, and their nieces and nephews and all the other dark friends eventually you'll get free of. Because, see, that's an awful about what grace is about. You being made today without the other. You being day. And you're not, being thwarted by some other overpowering force that's stronger than you. That says, no, you're not going to be that. Because why? Because Jesus has come to live within you. If you're doing good and you get it, then he will come and live with you. And you have to ask. And after he does, you know what? You should ask for more. And ask him to be more with you. So that, it's easier to resist these other things and do the things that you need to do and all of that. And I know, yes, there's examples in the story, the book, about, there's some of the greatest apostles were, saying how it's difficult to be the type of person they want to be, and sometimes it was difficult for them to, like one of them was saying he was the king of the sinners or something like that. Well, he was talking about a point in his journey. You have to remember, they're all on their journey. That's why when you read the book, you have to read it with that discernment, that these people were actually on their own spiritual journey too. Yes, the apostles had known Christ in person. I'm sure that he had taken them on, and he had taken them on, and that's why he probably meant by love each other as I've loved you, But again, that thing, the psychology is just junk. That's just just another way for you to be misled into believing that you have some understanding or control over something that isn't what they've described it to be. You'd be better off by saying, Lord, take this demon of worry from me, or something like that. I'm serious. Once you get into it, and just because you say, hey, God, look at me, doesn't mean that you're automatically in the club. Just because you pray that sinner's prayer doesn't mean that you're saved. You have to be accepted by him. You want them to come in and live with you. In other words, you're changing your operating system from the world operating system, or from something worse, way worse, like a magic operating system, fire, or something like that, to system of light, operating system of light. So that can happen instantly, and a lot of times it happens to the people who's been going to church for a while, and they've gotten a lot of people around them. They've been starting to know them, and they have people praying for them and things like that. So by the time they do go to that altar, one of the reasons why you go to the altar in front of the entire church, or like at a Billy Graham concert in front of 60,000 people, is because you want their prayers. You want what is present because of all these other people that have it. You see? That's why people wanted to go to church. because the people in church already had it, and they've been growing with the Lord for a long time. So if you get a whole bunch of them together and they're all praying at you or for you, with the presence of the Lord to be with you, then you're much more likely to experience it. You see, that's just a theory. I'm not saying that's law. It's just a theory. It's just a hypothesis. God bless you and God love you. Y'all have a great day.